My name is Jordan Tilchin, and I didn't want to go on Birthright. It seems crazy to say now, but it's absolutely true. An all-expenses paid trip to Israel was of little interest to me in my early 20s when I was just kicking off my journalism career. I was busy with so many things: road trips with friends, concerts, keeping up with my blog, and a 10-day trip to the Holy Land simply wasn't on my radar. It didn't help that Israel always felt like a mythical place where miraculous, impossible things happened thousands of years ago. Like many other secular Jews in America, I grew up listening to stories of the Exodus and the Maccabean Revolt, and I grew up hearing about the horrors of the Shoah. But never was I able to truly connect to the Jewish story until I stepped into it myself. After years of telling my cousin to go on Birthright without me, I finally gave in at the ripe age of 24. I went, as tens of thousands of young Jews do per year, with preconceived ideas about this foreign land and its people. If we were playing a word association game back then and you said Israel, I would have responded with desert or war zone. If you said Israelis, I would have said cold or tough or smokes a lot. I wasn't against the existence of Israel, but I was certainly indifferent and ignorant of the critical role it plays in the safety, security, and continued survival of the Jewish people. I was what one would call totally oblivious and disconnected. As soon as the wheels touched down at Ben Gurion Airport, I knew my life would fundamentally change. It wasn't long before I realized that this land actually wasn't foreign at all. I remember walking through Tzfat, mesmerized by the Jewish art galleries and the masterpieces in them. As I explored the ancient city, a store clerk said two simple words that stopped me in my tracks. He said, "Welcome home." I can't quite describe what that felt like. I've lived just outside New York City my whole life. Yes, I'm a Long Islander as well. And people who spend years in Manhattan tell me that they sometimes still feel like strangers there. Yet I, an American who had been in Israel for maybe 72 hours, was being told by a man who's likely been there his entire life that Israel, the land, the culture, all of it, belonged just as much to me as it did to him, and that this was my home too. A couple of days later, 7 Israelis joined our group who, despite my preconceived notions, were in many ways just like us. They were 7 young, vibrant, witty, smart, and engaging IDF soldiers who were just as curious about us as we were about them. They told us about their jobs in combat and intelligence, and we told them about ours as writers, teachers, and medical professionals. We bonded over popular TV shows like Game of Thrones, and we laughed at the same viral internet memes. Another thing that connected us was that we had all experienced anti-Semitism, albeit in very different ways. From the Israelis, we learned about what it's like living under the constant threat of terror from Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and several other organizations devoted to Israel's total destruction. From us, they learned about anti-Semitism in American pop culture and the prevalence of anti-Zionism on college campuses, which at its core is plain old Jew hatred. We spoke about all of the anti-Israel sentiment that has infiltrated our social circles, our workplaces, and even the hallowed halls of Congress. What I realized was that, as much as we had in common, there was also so much that we didn't understand about each other, and Birthright was crucial in bridging that gap. I could go on and tell you about how much I loved floating in the Dead Sea, or how moved I was by our visit to Yad Vashem. I could tell you about our night out at the Shuk, or how I stood at the Kotel on Shabbat with tears rolling down my eyes because suddenly it hit me that my ancestors had been praying for this moment for thousands of years. But instead, I would rather elaborate on what has happened since Birthright and how this 10-day program ultimately changed the entire trajectory of my life. After returning and getting back to my normal routine, I noticed that my antennas were all the way up when it came to discourse about Jews in Israel. I'm an entertainment journalist, and I started noticing some snide remarks around the office whenever a celebrity would visit Israel. "No one should ever go there," one colleague said. "It's an apartheid state." Having been there myself, I of course knew that this was not true. I also knew that I did nothing wrong by going and seeing the Jewish homeland with my own eyes. But still, I froze. I was so shocked and so deeply hurt that I couldn't muster a response, something I deeply regret to this day. I wish I could tell you that I quit that job, but I was actually let go soon after in a round of pandemic-related layoffs. I didn't feel mad or upset about my unemployment. Instead, I felt liberated and galvanized to speak openly and honestly about anti-Semitism. So when famous football player Deshaun Jackson shared a quote on social media that he attributed to Hitler, and the fast fashion retailer Shein put a swastika necklace up for sale on their website, I took to Instagram one fateful day in 2020 to let my friends know exactly what was happening and why it was so concerning. It's been almost 3 years since then, and I am still on Instagram and Twitter, fighting anti-Semitism, defending Israel, and being a very loud and proud Jew. I have amassed roughly 40,000 followers across Twitter and Instagram due to my advocacy work. The Allgemeiner named me one of the top 100 people positively influencing Jewish life in 2021. And this year, the Birthright Israel Foundation asked me to chair their ambassador program. In a few months, I will be launching a Jewish multimedia company with my good friend Eden Cohen, with the purpose of providing young Jews with resources to better understand their Jewish identity before they are groomed on social media into hating Israel and rejecting the very essence of who they are. Eden and I are also working on an upcoming docuseries that sees us road tripping Israel and offering a real-time perspective of a country that is so much more than war and conflict. A country that is bursting with Jewish pride and that celebrates and savors life. A country that has something to offer everyone, Jewish or non-Jewish, religious or secular. A country built by survivors and protected by their children and their children's children. A country full of people who understand the genocidal threats they face and who have the chutzpah to keep going. That's Israel. That's my home. It's important for me to say, It's important for me to say that none of this, my social media advocacy, my Jewish multimedia company, my Israel docuseries, none of it would have been possible without the eye-opening 10-day trip that I never even wanted to go on in the first place. My life changed because of generous donors like you who understood the detrimental impact of anti-Israel sentiment on Jewish youth and sought to reverse that toxic messaging. My life changed because good-hearted, well-intentioned people saw the correlation between exposure to Israel and unapologetic Jewish pride. My life changed because of those of you who chose to invest in young Jewish hearts and minds by sending thousands of teens and young adults to Israel per year. My life changed because I was given the gift of walking in the land of my ancestors and finally understanding that being a Jew means that I am part of something so much bigger than myself. I am standing here tonight as proof of how Birthright can alter the course of a young Jew's life, but I am not here alone. My story is just one example of the impact of a Birthright trip. Now I will show you how through your investment in this program, you are changing the Jewish world for the better. With the following alums, please join me on the stage. Ethan Gruber, Alex and Lindsay Shapsis, Billy Richmond, Adam Shapiro, Katie Ray David, and Aaron Jaffe. While on Birthright, Billy had an opportunity to swab for Gift of Life and never thought he would get a call months after his trip and be given the opportunity to save a fellow Jew's life, which he did. Billy is a hero. Ethan Gruber is standing here tonight representing his family's generosity to the foundation and the program's impact on him and his sister Lauren. Lauren, who has personally faced 2 acts of anti-Semitism and credits her Birthright experience for giving her the pride to stand up and address it. Ethan, Lauren, and their family represent a beautiful, multi-generational story that will impact participants for future generations. Adam Shapiro, your courage and drive inspire us all. You represent that this program is dedicated to every single Jewish adult, regardless of the challenges they face or their disabilities. It is all our birthright to form a connection to Israel and the Israeli people. Next, I am honored to stand here with Lindsay and Alex Shapsis, two alums who hold leadership positions at multiple Jewish organizations and whose generosity to the foundation paves the way for their peers and future generations to have the same experience that they had. And last but not least, Katie Ray David, who returned from her Birthright Israel trip 3 short days ago. We cannot wait to see where her journey takes her, and of course, we must acknowledge her parents who have become major donors during this crucial time. We stand before you tonight as tangible examples of what a gift to Birthright and Israel Foundation can do. We are the Jewish future. We are your ROI. We have taken the lessons we learned on Birthright and we ran with them. We stand before you as proud Jews, and we ask that you continue to invest in us. One day, we will be sitting in the crowd with you, like the Shapsis, joining you in securing the Jewish future. On behalf of us and the over 800,000 other alums worldwide, we will not let you down. Thank you so much for your time.